welcome once again in the class of design of steel structures. So we are learning the design of the gantry girder. I am Mr. S.S. Sobule, Assistant Professor, Civil Engineering Department. So far we have seen what is the gantry girder, what are the forces coming on the gantry girder, and how to design a gantry girder. Now we are in between the problem, that is this design of gantry girder to be used in an industrial building carrying an electric overhead traveling crane for this following data. So far, we have seen the calculation of wheel loads in the maximum bending moment, and by the this maximum bending moment we have chosen the section, that is this. These are the properties of the section, that is ISWB 600 plus ISMC 300, and these are the properties. And now we have calculated the IXX and IYY of the section. So now we'll check the bending stress. So basically we know that the sigma BC or D is 0.66 Fy as per the IS code. It is mentioned over here. So for the steel with the yield stress 250, it is 165. That is 0.66 Fy. But we also know that we have to increase the allowable stress by 10% as per the IS code. So this clause number 3.9.3 on page number 31 states that we can increase the permissible stresses for the design of gantry girder. So while considering the simultaneous effect of vertical and horizontal surge load of cranes, the combination which has been given in 3.4.3 and 3.4.2.4, the permissible stresses may be increased by 10%. So these are those two clauses, that is 3.4.2.3. The effect of crane to be considered under imposed load shall include the vertical load, eccentricity effect induced by the vertical load, impact factor, lateral, that is surge, and the longitudinal horizontal thrust acting across and along the crane rail respectively. And this is 3.4.2.4, that is crane load should be considered as indicated by the customer. In the absence of any specific indication, the load combination shall be as follows: the vertical load with full impact from one loaded crane or two cranes in case of the tandem operation together with vertical loads without impact from as many loaded cranes as may be positioned for maximum effect along with the maximum horizontal thrust, that is surge, from one crane only or two cranes in case of tandem operation. So here we are in our syllabus we are going to consider only single crane, but in future it might be useful for you. For multi crane gantries, the load specified this in this A is subject to consideration of crane maximum of two bays of the building cross section. The longitudinal thrust on the thin track shall be considered for a maximum of two loaded cranes on the track, and the lateral thrust, that is surge, the longitudinal thrust acting respectively across and along the crane rail shall not be assumed to act simultaneously. The effect of both forces shall however be investigated separately. So these things you have to consider. Right now in our syllabus or according to our syllabus, this thing we are not going to across to check these clauses, but in future these will you will find these things helpful. So again, moving to this problem, we have increased the allowable stress, that is 165 by 10%. So 1.1 by 165 is 181.5. So first you are going to calculate the stresses on this compression side and on the tension side, then on the tension side. So for compression side, so as we have calculated there, this y will be changed. this y. That is different because we are taking the asymmetrical section like this. So this is the y distance from compression and this is from the tension side, that is 360 and 247. So the bending moment into 10 raised to 6 into this y divided by the ixx, and that becomes 93.108. And for the tension side, again bending moment into y divided by the ixx, that is 135.38, which is both the values are lesser than this 181.5. So hence our design is safe. Now this is all about the vertical forces. Now we are going to consider the lateral forces. So the lateral forces transverse to the rail, that is we have already seen the value of this thing. We are using here the horizontal forces transverse to the rail. We are using this EOT, that is electrically operated train or the crane. So that becomes the 10% of the weight of the crab and the weight lifted by the crane. So here we are taking is zero point 0.1 of this lifted weight, that is weight of crane and weight lifted, so that becomes 24. So again we have the two wheels for the uh, crane, so the weight is distributed on the two wheels, so we are dividing it by 2, so that becomes 12 kilonewton. Then the maximum horizontal reaction due to lateral force by the proportion, we are calculating it by the proportion, so the lateral force multiply by the reaction at the C due to vertical load and maximum wheel load due to vertical load. So this is the position where we kept this particular wheels, and we have this 196.22 reaction, and this is the maximum wheel load, that is 161. So by using this proportion we will get the maximum horizontal reaction to the lateral force by proportion at C is 14.625 kilonewton. Now again horizontal reaction due to lateral force at D. So we are uh, um, subtracting this earlier reaction at C from the 24, that is total force. So we'll get 9.375. So the bending moment due to lateral load by proportion again, so again this 12, that is load divided by the maximum wheel load and the maximum bending moment that we got over here. Maximum bending moment, that is this due to live load, that is 393.6 into 10 raised to 3. So we'll get the bending moment due to lateral load, that is this 29.29 into 10 raised to 6 Newton mm. So the maximum shear force again due to lateral load by proportion again. So this is 251.56. So here we have this maximum shear force, that is 251.56 into 10 raised to 3 divided by wheel load into this 12, that is single wheel load. So you'll get 18.75 kilonewton. So these we are calculating by the proportion because uh, we have already calculated the uh, bending moment and shear force for the earlier cases by keeping the wheels on positions where we'll get the maximum values of the bending moment and the shear force. So that's why again uh, instead of calculating we'll get them directly by taking the proportions. So the bending stress due to lateral load. So again, the moment of inertia of compression flange about y-axis, that is the moment of inertia of beam flange plus moment of inertia of the channel. So moment of inertia of beam flange is 47025 divided by 2 into 10 raised to 4, and moment of inertia of the channel is 6362.6 into 10 raised to 4. So here we'll see the shape again. So this is, we are considering here this IYY, and here it is now IXX, because now we are, this is the YY axis. So earlier we have calculated about XX axis, and now we are calculating about YY axis. So that is this value, that is 662, and this 4702, that is over here, is divided by 2. Now please take care that here we are taking only the this moment of inertia of this compression side, because in procedure it has been written the maximum compressive stress due to lateral load is calculated and the compression flange. So if we are considering the compression flange, so this is the compression flange. So the compression flange is assumed to take the lateral loads, and hence the moment of inertia of the compression flange is required about its y-axis. So that's why we are taking, because if you consider this portion is generally fixed, here you can see we have the section over here. So basically this is the gantry girder, this is the gantry girder, or if you see here, so this tension flange is fixed over here. So only this compression flange which tends to move, or it tends to handle this lateral loads, those are coming from this area. So that's why we are considering that in procedure the maximum compressive stress due to lateral load is calculated, the compression flange is assumed to take the lateral load. So that's why it is assumed, because it is free, and generally load coming from the this lateral forces are coming on this particular compression flange. That's why we are considering this compression flange is taking most of the loads, and that's why we are checking the only the compression flange for this particular uh, or for this particular kind of lateral loads. So again that becomes 8713.85 after calculation. So today we'll stop here. In the main lecture we are going to see the longitudinal forces as well as the remaining part of this lateral forces and the stresses due to lateral forces, those calculations. Um, so you might have observed how much the basics are important while calculating this moment of inertia, and the things how the particular structure work in the particular load cases, or how the things has been considered. So obviously all the things should be clear in your mind while looking or considering or analyzing these kind of structure, which are based on the basically your or which heights in your basic should be clear from the even from the 12 physics to applied mechanics, as well as the strength of materials, all these subjects. So that's all for today's lecture. The references for today's lecture are these: the design of steel structure book by SK Duggal and the slideshare.net website. Thank you. One more thing I would like to add, due to some disturbances, today's voice quality should not be that much good, or some disturbances are there. So kindly forgive me for that. Thank you.